In this movie, I want to talk briefly about who should use Git. Now, as I said before, primarily people working with source code are going to get the most utility out of Git. But it's not just for them, it's really for anyone who wants to track edits, especially edits to text documents. It offers you the ability to review a log of changes that were made, to view differences between versions, and to retrieve old versions. Those features are not just limited to programmers. Those are things that anyone working with a text file might want to be able to do. It's also useful for anyone needing to share changes with collaborators. So one person makes a set of changes to a document, someone else makes a set of changes to the document, and we want to merge those together or share changes between each other, then Git can help us to do that. However, Git is most useful for people who are not afraid of command line tools. There are graphical user interfaces that we can use with Git, and we'll look at some of those later on, but it is first and foremost a command line tool, which is part of why it stays so popular with programmers and developers who aren't afraid of those command line tools. So out of programmers and developers, it doesn't really matter what language you're working in. It doesn't matter if it's simple HTML or if you're working in a compiled language. You can use Git to track the changes in your source code. Now, the list of programming languages that I've got on the screen there is not just a list that I made up. These are some of the most popular languages that are used with Git, that Git is used to track projects in. There are many others as well, but if you work in any of these, you definitely will get a lot of utility out of Git. Now, it's not as useful for tracking non-text files. Images, movies, music, fonts. It will keep track of each of them. It'll keep track of the fact that you made a change to an image. It'll keep both the old image and the new image in the repository, but you won't be able to see the difference between the two, the same way that you can with text. With text, it can say, oh, this bit of text on line 27 was changed from this to this. It can't really do that with these other files that are called binary files. It also doesn't work well with files that have to be interpreted by an application. Word processing files, spreadsheets, PDFs, Photoshop PSDs, these kinds of files need an application to interpret them. Otherwise, they're just a bunch of letters and numbers that Git won't understand. So Git will again keep track of the fact that you have a Microsoft Word file in version 1 and then version 2, but it won't be able to show you the difference, the text that you changed between those two files. It has to be a pure text file, not interpreted by a word processor. So if you think Git can be helpful in helping you to track changes and manage different versions, let's move forward in the next chapter by getting it installed.